We are here with IFBC presenter Donnie RightSide. He's also all over Sportsbook picks. He's got great shows all over. Donnie, how you doing today?
Hey, doing good. Glad to spend a couple minutes with you. Maybe the people out there can get to know me a little bit better if they haven't followed the shows there, Drew.
Yeah, man. I mean, I know a lot of people know your face, but just to get to know you a little bit better when they come down to visit for IFBC, did you have a job before you got into sports betting?
Yeah, good point on that. Coming out of college, I mean, as we talked earlier, I was supposed to go in and be, a teacher. I graduated with a Bachelor of Arts history major actually coming out. The reason I didn't like numbers that much, Drew, I know you come from a background where you're a numbers guy. The only reason I probably didn't become a teacher here is because I don't like to go over and do too much math and statistical stuff. I'm more of a visual type of guy. But before this, graduating out right after college, was in the mortgage business for about 10 years, then opened up my own food establishment, ran that for about 9 years, sold that, and here we are today.
Man, you don't look old enough to already have 2 careers before sports betting. But right after college, you got into mortgage, and that was a hot time in the mortgage business, if I'm not mistaken. And then
exactly. I graduated around 2000, right when the mortgage industry kicked up. I had a couple of friends and also family members that were in the mortgage business, and it didn't seem like a bad gig. Came right out, made a lot of money, enjoyed it for a couple years, but wanted to always do my own thing on the side. And then I opened up a food establishment, went really well, sold it for a nice profit, and then getting to finally, almost at 40 years old, Drew, my true passion, which is sports.
So you were sports betting all along the way in the mortgage business and when you owned your own shop there?
All along the way, which was great because owning your own business gave me a lot of more free time than one would normally have. You can't be on your cell phone or your computer, but when you're the boss of the establishment, you get to do a little bit more, found a love for it. Now, we've been betting, most of us here have been betting all the way back to our teens and preteens, $20 parlay cards and all that stuff, which I always fell in love with. But as I got older, I wanted to make sure I really loved the game overall to cap it and make that a career move. Did it for years and years and years, and finally decided it was the time to go into action, and I've loved it ever since, Drew.
Dude, that's a great story, Donnie. I love it, man. And getting into sports betting, what is your specialty? I know you played football in college. Does that translate into you having more success capping football, or do you have more success with other sports?
It's kind of interesting you do bring that up because having a football background, I played from, 65 pounds all the way up through college. Football's always been my love. College football is fantastic, but pro football is really where I make my bones there. The one thing, getting back to your question, Drew, on does it help out? Playing the sport overall, knowing the knowledge of the game, what it goes through, but also just from a competitive standpoint, we've all been in similar scenarios. Even if you didn't play college football or pro football or whatever, but just being in high school, when you went up against that high school team that you knew you were better than, you figured you could just roll your helmets out there and go get the win and, in today's game, cover the point spread. But as going along, you figure that type of stuff as it goes along. So you like to take bits and pieces of what you learned overall in sporting, especially football, and try to apply your craft as it is to today with the NFL and today's college football. So it does help quite a bit, not as much as you would like to think, but overall X's and O's and numbers that go into it, yes, it does. But also just from a psychological standpoint of knowing the game of football, how hard it is and what goes into it, back-to-back road games, 3 road games in a row, playing your rival on homecoming, that all factors into it. You can use that in professional and also college football.
Absolutely, Donnie. And as far as handicapping sports goes, do you have maybe 3 pillars of sports betting, things that you never do or try to always do? Never cross the line on a certain item with sports betting?
Yes, the one thing is you can't be an emotional gambler. And what I mean by that is if you just have a game that you like on Sunday, take for instance, you like to bet the Philadelphia Eagles over the New York Giants. It's a 1 o'clock game. You looked at it all week. You love the game. Let's just say the game doesn't go your way and you lose. That doesn't mean later in the day there that you're going to peg down, the San Diego Chargers versus the Kansas City Chiefs. And if you can't win that, you want to peg that night game. Less is more is always my most important thing that I like to talk to people about. Whereas if you like a game, play it. But just because that loses, always live to fight another day. There's a better game maybe on Monday Night Football, maybe Thursday Night Football. Maybe you have to wait till next Sunday when you circle your spot. Don't be an emotional gambler. Set aside a certain amount that you can afford to lose. But if you win, obviously that's going to be the name of the game. But if you lose that money, live to fight another day. That's always my number 1 pillar there for us, Drew.
Great advice, Donnie. And where do you think sports betting will be in 5 or 10 years? What do you think it will look like?
Really shaped my interest a couple years ago when New Jersey, being in New Jersey, and put it on the ballot and was approved overwhelmingly to pass sports gambling in New Jersey as opposed to not pass it. We've been waiting a long term every time. Whatever circuit court it goes to, it's been denied. 6 months later, we come up with a different argument in New Jersey, it's been denied. But with the Supreme Court picking it up here, I think it's going to be advantageous that it goes forward and does get legalized. The one thing I see in 5 to 10 years, let's look at the overall stock market. What a better way to take it from out of the shadows, Drew, into the future and regulate it. So it's not, I know the old school method is, why don't you take Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers and give them $20,000 to throw a football game? These guys make so much money, and that's so old school, Neanderthal type of thinking where take it out of the shadows, move it into the limelight, regulate it, tax it, because everybody knows, crumbling infrastructure, crumbling school systems, this can all be taxed in advance and help everybody out, but also help regulate it where nobody's frauding the game. You don't have rogue referees, rogue quarterbacks. Everything's out in the open, almost like the SEC does with the stock market.
Okay, and if you were going to set a number on when sports betting will be legal in the United States outside of the state of Nevada, what would your number be?
I would, with the Supreme Court that's going to hear it, you know as well as I do, Drew, there's a lot of money at stake both ways. States want it, but the NFL, college football, they try to lean away with PASPA here because they think they might lose control of the sport. Once everybody gets on the same table, it's going to take a couple years because, as we know, just from a legality standpoint, somebody's going to win, somebody's going to countersue, somebody's going to countersue that, and it's going to get logged up in the courts for a while. I would probably say if we're sitting here in 2017, by 2020, I would assume we probably will have legalized sports gambling throughout the country and on a legal level, all set up and ready to go. That's my hope.
So January 1st, 2020 is your number?
Yep, let's go Super Bowl 2020. Like, what a grand kickoff party for everybody.
Man, that would be awesome.
Yes, it would.
Well, he's Donnie RightSide. Find him on Twitter at RightSideVP. His work at DonnieRightSide.com. And Donnie, when are you coming down to Costa Rica?
I'll be down on Thursday, and I can't wait to get down there. IFBC.live. It's going to be a great time. What I like to say, Drew, in my life, sun, fun, cocktails, and cigars. The biggest misconception about heading down there is it's not a business trip. It's going to be relaxing. You might pick up a couple tips here that you can learn and moving forward into betting, college and professional football. But more importantly, let's rub some elbows with the people down there, meet the listeners out there, some fantastic people coming down, which again, even I'm going to learn from and certainly take full advantage of it. So I stress to everybody that you do as well. I'm really looking forward to it. But Drew, I'll be down there on Thursday. I'm going to enjoy Friday and Saturday in the sun and fun in Costa Rica.
Nice, man. And for the other visitors coming down and joining us with SBR at the hotel on SBR, what would you, maybe some advice for them wanting to ask you some questions if they were going to buy you a drink? Are you more of a margarita guy or a beer guy? I know you like cigars.
Yes, I have a I maybe not look the part, but my family is part Cuban descent there. So I'm a big flavor guy. You see me all the time. I like vodka, I like tonic, but you can't beat a bad, margarita, pina colada, whatever it would be, mojito. I'm down with anything. As long as it doesn't involve beer for me, you can buy me whatever drink you want. And again, I'm coming down to learn just as much as everybody else. I'm your everyday gambler heading down, so I can't wait to meet everybody who's down there for the conference.
All right, doesn't sound too picky. So if you want to talk to Donnie, sounds like anything will do. And Donnie, thanks for taking the time. Look forward to meeting you, buddy.
Absolutely. Can't wait to get down there, Drew. Thank you.
All right, man.